Hello, and welcome English 1302 students to this video, which will help you do a close reading of one of two required essays for your research. Both essays answer your research question, but they use an Athenian law instead of 21st century law to do so. The question they answer is this: in a hypothetical trial, would Oedipus be found guilty or not guilty for the murder of Laius? After reading the two essays, you will decide whether or not you want to change your thesis. The first essay is by Edward M. Harris, and the title is Oedipus Guilty? Sophocles and Athenian Homicide Law. In order to watch the video, you will need to have your copy of the essay available. The copy that I emailed you will have page numbers as well as paragraph numbers, which I have added for your benefit. You should also have your study guide open to a note-taking page and write the title, or as a shortcut, write Scholarly Essay Number 1. As you watch the video, you will take notes to answer the key questions to help you understand the author's main points about Oedipus's guilt or innocence. You will take a quiz over the content of this video. Now, let's start our discussion of the essay. First of all, you should know that the source of this essay is a book titled Law and Drama in Ancient Greece. The book has two editors, one of which is also the author of the essay we will discuss, Edward M. Harris. Since this is a required essay, you will need the correct MLA citation for the source. When typing the citation into your Works Cited page, be sure to double space and indent every line after the first. For scholarly essays, it is important to verify the credentials and expertise of the author. Edward M. Harris is Professor Emeritus of Classics and Ancient History at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. Emeritus is a special honor given to a professor who has retired but still retains his title. Professor Harris taught more than 30 years and has written more than 20 books and articles. You may do more research on your own regarding his expertise, which you will use in your essay. In the first 2 pages of his essay, Edward M. Harris gives the counterargument, or opposing argument, for his thesis about Sophocles' play, Oedipus the King. Look at the top of page 123. I have underlined for you the sentence in which he gives the opinion of E.R. Dodds, that Oedipus killed Laius in self-defense. Please note that your essay is not concerned with the question of pollution, which has to do with the fact that Oedipus commits parricide or kills his father. We are only interested in Dodd's view about self-defense. In paragraph 3 on page 123, Harris explains the second opposing view, that of J.P. Fernand, who also supports a verdict of self-defense. I have underlined that sentence for you as well. In paragraph 4 on page 123, Harris sums up this counterargument, which is the view of many scholars, all of whom believe Oedipus is innocent of murder according to Athenian law. Find the sentence and underline it. In paragraph 5, Harris states his purpose for writing the essay: to re-examine the issue of Oedipus's guilt in 2 plays, Oedipus the King and Oedipus at Colonus. Your focus will be only on Oedipus the King. Please note that the statement of purpose is not his thesis. He will not state his thesis until the end of the essay after he has provided evidence for it. He uses what is called the inductive approach, stating evidence first and then his thesis at the end. The essay is organized into 3 parts. We will skip the first part on pages 124 to 131, and I have not included those pages in your copy. The second part, we will discuss only 3 pages, 132 to 134. The third part, we will discuss pages 134 to 136, paragraphs 9 to 12. We will not discuss the rest of the essay. However, I recommend that students wanting a B or A look on pages 138 and 139, paragraphs 11 and 14, for quotes not discussed in this video. Also, please remember not to include any content regarding the play Oedipus at Colonus. Only use quotes about Oedipus the King. Now, please turn to page 132, paragraph 6. This section of the essay deals with Athenian law regarding justifiable homicide. It begins with the following sentence at the top of page 132. The defendant could claim he killed justly in the following circumstances. Now, number your paper from 1 to 8. As you read silently on page 132 the 8 categories for justifiable homicide, I will pose questions about Oedipus's killing of Laius. Write yes or no in your study guide to answer each question. Number 1. Did Oedipus kill Laius in an athletic contest? Yes or no? Did Oedipus kill Laius in a battle without knowing it? Yes or no? Did Oedipus kill Laius in the act of having sexual intercourse with Oedipus's wife, mother, sister, daughter, or concubine? Yes or no? Number 4. Did Oedipus kill Laius while he was carrying off Oedipus's property? Yes or no? Number 5. Did Oedipus kill Laius while Laius was stealing at night? Yes or no? Number 6. Did Oedipus kill Laius because Laius was condemned for murder and returned to Attic soil? Yes or no? Number 7. Did Oedipus kill Laius because Laius was a tyrant trying to overthrow democracy? Yes or no? 8. Did Oedipus kill Laius in the road? Yes or no? You should have answered no to every question except number 8. In his discussion of this reason, Harris says the law requires that the defendant can only use deadly force against someone who attacks him from an ambush. The word ambush is an essential part of Harris's argument that you must understand in order to explain his thesis. Highlight the word ambush on your copy. At the bottom of page 132, Harris states that an ambush has 3 main elements. Find those words and underline them. At the top of page 133, Harris lists and explains those 3 elements, which I have summarized on this slide. First, the perpetrator who is going to ambush someone plans ahead, which means he knows the victim is coming and anticipates his arrival. Number 2, the perpetrator who is going to ambush someone uses the element of surprise, hiding himself until the victim appears and then ambushing him. Number 3, the perpetrator who ambushes someone intends to kill them or capture them. In paragraph 2 on page 133, Harris summarizes the law for ambush by stating that what does and what does not qualify as an ambush. Let's apply what he says to Oedipus. Oedipus could claim his killing of Laius was justified if Laius plotted to kill and capture him and lay concealed, then attacked him suddenly. He could not claim the killing of Laius was justified if he killed someone who merely struck him on the spur of the moment. Underline those 2 sentences at the beginning of that paragraph, 2. Those are very important sentences for summarizing his point about the ambush. Now turn to page 134, part 3, beginning with paragraph 1. Here Harris does what you do in your essays and what all good essays do. In paragraph 2 on pages 134 and 135, he gives the background for the essay. He briefly summarizes the plot of the play, including the 2 backstories of Jocasta and the child she and Laius disposed of, and the backstory of Oedipus's identity crisis in Corinth. Once again, on page 135, we have Oedipus's testimony about the encounter at the place where 3 roads meet. This version is translated by Harris. My wife, I will tell you the truth. When I was traveling near this place where the road forks, there I met a herald and a man mounted on a chariot drawn by horses, as you say. The man in front and the old man attempted to drive me out of the road by force. For my part, I struck the man pushing me aside, the charioteer, in anger. The old man, seeing this, watched until I was alongside the chariot and hit me right in the face with his 2-pronged lash. He did not pay an equal penalty, but suddenly struck by the stick in my hand, he collapsed right away, falling on his back from the middle of the chariot. Then I killed every last one of them. In paragraph 3 on page 136, Harris makes his main argument for the guilty verdict. Using Oedipus's own testimony, Harris gives 6 reasons why Oedipus cannot claim his killing of Laius in the road was justified as an ambush. After listening to this video, you will need to answer on your own the questions about each reason using evidence from paragraph 3. Reason number 1, Laius was not waiting in ambush. Reason number 2, Laius and his men did not want to kill Oedipus. Reason number 3, Oedipus hits the driver, but when Oedipus hits the driver, it is not to defend his life, but to retaliate for being pushed. Reason number 4, Oedipus never mentions being afraid for his life, which is a requirement for self-defense. Reason number 5, Oedipus's motive for the killing does not fit the requirements for self-defense. And reason number 6, the death was not proportionate to what Laius inflicted. You must look up the word proportionate to paraphrase the meaning of that reason. This is the most important paragraph in the entire essay, because it is where Harris presents the reasons or evidence to support his claim about Oedipus. Draw a box around the paragraph and label it Harris's evidence for his thesis. You cannot write about his argument without including his evidence. At the bottom of page 135, in paragraph number 4, beginning with the sentence, Oedipus's account of his killing of Laius clearly does not fit into any of the categories of just homicide, Harris sets up the reader for his thesis. On page 136, in the final sentence of that paragraph, he states his thesis. Oedipus's murder of Laius was not a form of legitimate self-defense, and you need to underline that sentence. Now, which verdict does Harris support? Guilty or not guilty? Label that sentence, Harris's thesis for a guilty verdict. This essay by Edward M. Harris supports a guilty verdict. Now you may read the rest of the essay on your own. Harris expands his thesis with more good statements that you could use in your essay, some of which I have underlined for you in this slide. Remember that only his comments about Oedipus Tyrannus or Oedipus the King are relevant to your essay. Now that we have completed this first close reading of a scholarly essay, you may begin to consider its evidence in light of your thesis statement. Does Harris's argument make you want to change the verdict you supported in your thesis? You will need to wait until you read the second required essay, which refutes Harris's argument, before you make that decision.